Righty, welcome back to the NZ Mopa Customs. So, in this video, not 100% sure how we're going to get, but got some rot around the back windows of this 80 series Land Cruiser. So, it's pretty typical of these things. It's one of those things, whether we nosy. And yeah, I'll show you what we've got here, and yeah, I'll dig into it. So it's typical of these things, they rot around these back windows. So I'm going to pop the glass out of the back, and I think there's some rot around here actually. There's a light. I think we've got a light here. I might spend an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours down here. So yeah, so there's like the rot here. Hopefully it's not too savage. Bit of rust around here. So we'll get in there, we'll get the glass out, clean that up. And I think some rot around here somewhere too. Oh, there's a little bit starting just above that, about there. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with that. We'll do the two side ones and then we'll attack that. And it's the same along here, you know, it's starting to get rusty. So we'll clean all this up. Bit of surface up there. I think it's mainly black in these windows, so we probably won't, as long as we don't have to go down here into here too much. Like the paint on it's not great anyway, but we might better just clean up and hopefully just blow a bit of satin black in there, whatever this paint is around the windows. And depending on what we're going to do around here, we'll see as well. But anyway, I'll get just not sure what the sort of, anyway, we'll get the back open and the seats forward and whatever, and we'll pop these two side windows out at least. Grinder, lower wheel, butt sander. Righty, where do we get to? Let's clean up around here and see what we got. Right, so I'm just going to put a little bit of metal conditioner in a cup without shaking it when the lid's loosened. I'll give this a good scrub down, and then let's get a little bit of water. and we'll have to wash it off as well. So basically this is like a deoxiding type thing. It's this stuff in here anyway. Metal conditioner, rust remover. Yeah, it's pretty good. It cleans up any like last little bits of rot that are in there. It's also good on the fingers. But anyway, so I'm just going to give this a wee scrub with this. It's pretty clean. Fortunately, it come back cut pretty clean. I went over it with obviously that belt sander first, and then with the Scotch Brite wheel again afterwards. So we just want to make sure we really clean this up and neutralise any of that rust that is still in that surface. This is what we're doing now. Just give it a bloody good scrub, and this will neutralise any of the rust that's still on that surface. There, you can kind of see what I'm doing. The light's a bit poor, sorry. Biggest problem when you're doing shit at night. So we just got a bit of normal old water here. I'm just going to clean this up and just give the side of this van a bit of a... Just give this a good scrub so it neutralises that metal conditioner. That doesn't carry on doing anything silly. You know what I mean? Give that half a minute to dry off a little bit, and give it another wee dust. Righty, I think this one might be worse, but whether it's breaks through, I don't know. That's probably the worst bit, and everything else doesn't look too bad. Like, I think it'll clean up. There's nothing else up the top. Just a wee bit of shit there. You know, and just a couple of the light bits, but yeah, it's the real crusty piece here. That's a little concerning. We'll have a wee clean up here, and we'll just see. Yeah, get the freaking torch to stick. Yeah, that'll do. Right, we'll come back to you in a minute. I walked over to the compressor to shut it off, and it shut off by itself. Anyway, so that other side is actually not too bad. Well, it cleaned up okay. Might just dust a wee bit more etch on here while I'm just standing here. So I'll dust a little bit more etch just on the side. Try to put it in a little bit far. It's alright, just. Right, so we've got that protected. That'll be fine. And we won't worry about this other side in the meantime. Like, we've still got to clean up around the rest of the window. I'm going to bugger off home now. But we'll clean up that bad spot that I thought was a bad spot. That's actually cleaned up pretty well. Probably could do, you know, a little bit more clean up here, possibly. That's better. So yeah, a little bit more clean up there, just a little bit better. And then obviously we want to go along this and do the same thing, run around it with a belt sander, get it all cleaned up, around with the Scotch-Brite wheel, make sure we've got everything, you know, that we can. And then again with the metal conditioner and the deoxidine, whatever you want to call it, just whatever you're using, that's a really good product to use, because it just gets in there and neutralizes anything else that's left on the surface. And yeah, and then you're good to go, and then we can clean it up. So we're actually going to get away without doing any welding, you know, and I think once we've got these bits cleaned up and half ready to go, then we'll strip that tailgate and have a look at that. Right, so I just grabbed the fuel flap off it so I can just get a little bit of paint to touch this up, obviously. You know, how far we go. Most of it's behind here, but we might be just scuff it and touch it up, whatever. It just, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's reasonable. So yeah, we'll get out of here and yeah, we'll see you when we do some more. Right, morning. So welcome back. So got the glass out of here. So I'll show you that what it's like in a minute. I just want to spray these fucking hinges. They're a pain in the ass. They're so stiff. It's starting to work again now. Maybe just the lock was a bit dicky. Sweet. Oh, cool. Fixed that problem. Right, let's clean some rust up. We'll give you a good look around here now that I've finished fucking around with that. Yeah, so the rust around here, like around the top, is pretty good. Like there's nothing major. We'll give it a wee Scotch-Brite clean up. Just make sure it's nothing coming. You know what I mean? I don't see anything major coming. Like there might be just a little bit of light browning in a few areas. And even down the edges, you know, we'll get rid of all the dirt and shit. But like this end is good, but then it gets into some real scabby, like shit. You know, and this is pretty bad too. So I bet there's a big hole here somewhere. Whether we get away with it here, I don't know. And obviously, we're already in the hole here. So yeah, we'll give that a bloody good clean up. I'll set the tripod up. We'll put the phone back on the tripod. We'll crank those up. I'll just go crank the compressor up, and I'll get my little wire wheel and put everything else out, and we'll get this all cleaned up. I might just get that out of the road. I don't think I need to get that out of the road in the meantime anyway. I've got a little bit of paint here. So I've got a bit of black bit of Caprethane black to flick around the window openings for the for this. So we'll repaint around here, and same with obviously the other side, just to tidy it up. And then I got a little bit of colour mixed up to flick around the tailgate, obviously. Because we're going to have to come obviously down into here a bit. So, worst comes to worst, I can probably give this a little bit of polish up so it doesn't look quite so rough. And then, we'll just blow a bit of paint around here and whatever. If I've got enough to go right up to the top, this clear's coming off. We can, you know what I mean? And at least then his tailgate's tidied up. It is what it is. Like, the paint on this thing's not good, but like, some of it would tidy up, and then like the bonnet needs repainted, and that scuttle panel probably the roof. So like, that's not real critical, but I'd rather have a bit of colour back on there than whatever, if you know what I mean. But anyway, we'll dig into it. Righty, so I was thinking that I might have been just able to clean up some of these spots, but it's pretty fucking rotten along here, and there's a lot of rust jacking, right along, right to here even, and even along here. So I might have to make up this piece and just cut this right along this edge here. I'll try and cut it inside the edge if I can, and just weld it along the edge and then grind it up and clean it up. But yeah, I thought it'd just better take a bit of a measurement and just see what sort of material length I need roughly, and just see what I've got. So I need at least a minimum of a metre, I would say. Yeah, somewhere around about a metre of material. Like, I don't need obviously a lot, and there's been a little flange up. So what's that? That's, say, 15 or 16 high, and that's probably about the same. So I just need like a little owl, basically. That's probably not quite 90 degrees, somewhere in that ballpark, and just cut this whole piece of outer skin off, and then clean up what's in the inside, and just go along this edge and weld it back on. I think, for the most part, just with all the rust jacking, just to get in there and clean all that inner surface up. Yeah, I thought I might have got away with just maybe a few patches, but I think it's just as easy just to, cut it down through here, along here, whatever, and then just weld a new piece in there. Yeah, it's pretty rotten, so I might have to just strip this out a bit more than I was thinking. That is what it is. Yeah, we'll now make up a panel to fit in here, and we'll cut this away. Righty. Straighten it up. I cut a little strip off. Unfortunately, my guillotine isn't bloody wide enough. It's only 900 wide or 3 foot. So I can't quite fricking get a nice straight cut, but I've got to use the, what do you want to call it? Grinder. Or whatever. But I think this will work. Might have to open to bend up a little bit. But I think it's actually probably flexy enough. We don't probably have to shrink and stretch it too much, but I might do it a little bit. But I think what we'll do now is work out where we really need to cut this off. Well, this is a bit long, so that's cool. I think we'll come back to at least here. Marking a bloody work again. These things do not like dust, do they? Probably along to here. Do I want to go that far? Yeah, I probably do. With that, it's just so much crap in between. You know what I mean? Like, it's not clean in between, which is the worst bloody problem. Yeah, got more than enough for that, so that's cool. Got for a couple inches extra each end, so that's perfect. We'll cut along here, and we'll probably cut the rest this way, and then we'll pick the layers off with the belt sander and whatever. Pretty nasty in places. It's pretty nasty. Hopefully I could just clean this up. And we're going to have to put a patch in here. yeah, you never fucking know what you're going to find, eh? It just grows, man. Rust is a fucking nightmare sometimes. But, what do you do? But, that's a nice little easy, I wouldn't say easy patch to fix, but we can clean this up. We can make a panel, put it back on there. Same here. We'll just, for the most part, I can probably just weld that back on. That's fine. You know what I mean? This piece here will remake because it's fucking scabby. Instead of just a bit of glue. That's just a bit of body glue. That's cool. We'll re-weld, make a fresh piece up to get rid of this shit. Put that back in there. And at least I can clean this up, treat it. And, I can get in from behind and treat it as well. There's a few other places down there that are a little bit scabby, but they're not. I should better get to the worst of it and just spray some rust preventative down in there, or paint some rust preventative from the other side. But yeah, that needs cleaned up, and that definitely needs cleaned up. So yeah, if this was left, this was rotting through, and same in here, you know what I mean? That's, and I'm going to have to cut probably into this, probably cut a bit of this out, at least down in here. Cut a bit of this second skin away and to get back to the inner skin. We'll put a wee patch in here, clean it up, and then we can obviously put this patch back in, because the rest of it actually feels alright. I don't feel any scabby rust on the inside. We can spray some shit up in there, before we put anything back on. But yeah, just shows you, eh? It was pretty crusty along there, but it just shows you how bad it can be. You've seen it coming off, but it's just rotten. Righty, let's clean up this inner bit. quite the brush size I wanted, but it'll do. Paint this on there and then we'll bugger off for a while and we'll come back later. Poor old thing. Rust converter, but this is one you don't have to clean off. Just because I'm not likely to get back in here, so, well, I could, but you know what I mean. You have to give this a good dose, let it dry for a while. Yep. Cure any of its ills, and if not cure it, slow it down enough so it gets some, you know, some decent result. You know what I mean? Probably a bit much in that, but should be right. Oh, we'll make that do in the meantime. We'll go sort some lunch out. Right. So now I've got a little bit of curve in that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's got a little bit of curve in it. So we'll trim this off the bottom here. The die grinder. at this point, yeah, there's probably 3-ish coats through that repair area, just one around the rest of it. So he's a bit more on the pot left yet. There's a bit there. We'll blow another coat on there, it's not going to hurt. A bit more fill will just help fill in any scratches or any reflections. There's a couple of little spots there that I've missed with filler, but we can tidy that up and just give it another wee flick later on. Or I've even got some one-step primer here that I can just touch over top if I have to put a little bit of fill in there or something. Touch anything up. So yeah, but the other trick I did too was with the tape. If you haven't seen that before, put a triangle with some tape on your primer can, especially if it's full, and it just controls when you're tipping it in. Righty, so we're back down here. I think it's about 2:30-ish, pushing towards 3 maybe. I think it's about 2:30 or just after anyway. So we sprayed a few coats of primer on. It's not a lot, probably two for around this piece anyway, and probably 4, maybe 5 on the piece where we were sort of really repaired. It is now not in a booth, not hot, and I am sanding this with a bit of 150, and that piece of paper is clean, right? This is what I love about this Ralfy Multi-Express primer, high build. It is fucking phenomenal. Like, I have not yet, like the primers they use at work, which are PPG based products, they don't fucking stand a dick to this stuff. They really don't, eh? Like, I've seen them put, say, a couple of coats on something and then try and sand it, say 4 hours later, 5 hours later, in a workshop with a couple of those diesel blow heaters on it. Like, it's at a pretty reasonable temperature, like, and they're cool, but reasonable temperature in the shop, you know, like hot enough to be back into a t-shirt and maybe a pair of long pants, sanding, whatever, and it's pilling up in the paper. They're not getting a clean piece of paper, you know what I mean? This is clean. A piece of paper does make a difference, but this primer, if you're, say, in good temperatures and you thought, ooh, that really needs another coat, you know, block the panel out, and you've got one panel that just like, nah, it's not quite there, you know what I mean? That really could do with maybe another couple of quick ones, and put another wee block before we paint it. This is your stuff. I've done it numerous times, and you thought just, you know, it's nothing in particular, but it's just, you know, just a couple little fine marks. You know, you don't really want to sand it any further. You know, you're about as low as you really want to get. It really needs just another couple of quick, half reasonable, not a heavy coat, just a couple half reasonable coats on there. Mix a bit of that up, blow it on, walk away for an hour and a half, machine in decent heat, come back, block it out. I mean, this fucking shit is awesome. It really fucking is. I can't praise, but for all the times that I've used this stuff now, this Multi-Filler Express ME1, this stuff is, like, as far as I'm concerned, with the products I've used over my time, doing a bit of paintwork here and there, like from this to Autothane to Carmaster, to what's the other shit that I've got here? What is that stuff that Dad's got here for the Jag? Is it Basilac? Yeah, BASLAC. I don't know, like several others that I've used over time, this would be by far the best primer I've used. Like, you can reduce it probably 10%, and doesn't matter whether you got a fast hardener or a slow hardener. It obviously depends on your temperature, but I put fast hardener in this today, and this is 10:30 at 2 o'clock with probably 4 to 5 coats on this area here, and it seems like a fucking dream. I think this is the black. Yeah. So yeah, this is ME6, the black. So you will we'll mix up that. Yeah. Multi-filler Express ME6. We'll give that a coat of black. A couple of coats of black after we just knock down those couple little bits of shit in the oil. Just give it another wee rub, and then it'll be really good, and it'll be a nice dark colour, nice dark base to put the colour on. Me, I might even, when I'm doing that, I might find a little mask around the windows, back windows, mask all that out properly, and just dust a little bit of black around them too. Righty, so I've got everything prepped, masked up, wiped down, whatever. So I'm just gonna, in a minute, we're gonna mix up some black primer. Righty, so we got the paint, well, primer stirred up finally. I ended up actually having to make, well, probably didn't have to, but I made a rod with just a bit of flat bar on it and just twisted it a little bit to put in my drill, and just because it was been sitting so long and it was very, very, very thick at the bottom, it was just easier. I just put it on low speed and just went up and down, and then once it sort of got stirred up a reasonable amount, and then I put it onto high speed and just kept going up and down, and obviously made sure that I wasn't going to splash everywhere and shit like that. But now it's nicely stirred up. We'll get to pouring a bit of primer on here. So you can see that I splashed a little bit when I first got going. Just trying to freaking break up the thickness for a start off. But once I got it thinned up, it was actually alright. Right, so the tape trick is, I'll just give the topless can a next wipe, since we didn't end up with too much of a mess. Just initially when it was really thick, I struggled even with the drill. You know, once I got it sort of broken up. But if you got a really full can like this, get your masking tape, like your wide tape, 50mm, 2-inch tape, whatever you want to call it. Tape up the top of the can like this. Push that down the sides. I can still paint all over the bloody thing, but anyway. Make a V. And like a wee way up from the bottom edge. This is really handy on an extremely full can. Especially if you've got a bit of, you know, if you're not down to your last bit of tape, if you're sort of type sort of thing. And then you go like this and leave a bit of a tongue out here. Like this, and then fold. If you can. God, friggin' heck. It's sticking to me. Fold a bit of a tongue on there. And as long as your can's reasonably clean, this should stay, and obviously put a decent amount down here. But now, let's put a wee bit more on this edge, get a bit more over the edge of it. So I know it's going to stay on there. I'll bring you in a wee bit further. So we look here. Yeah, we'll bring you in a wee bit further just so you can get in a bit. Slightly better look here. Right. So I want a bit of 4:1, and I want to mix up, I think, about similar to what I did yesterday, because I've got to go around those windows. So I only want a couple of coats in here, tops, and a couple of coats around those windows, just a primer. 4:1. Well, yeah, 4:1, but I want to go 4 partitions, so it gives me about 250mm total when it's all mixed up. So now I can grab my really full can, and yeah, so I'm looking at the right bit. I can get this and just slowly pour. It'll come up that bit of tape and just run over the edge. Instead of like coming out really, it's pretty thick today, but I can just gently pour this in until we get to where we need to be. Gosh, she's thick, isn't it? You might have to reduce this about 20%, I reckon, just to get it to flow. Holy shit. It's definitely, I would say I'm on the limits of this, doing this, if you know what I mean. Really shouldn't be, but I'm not going to paint today. I'm not going to paint. It's too cold. Unless for some miracle it jumps up a few degrees. Right. So you've got a bit of fast hardener, rapid, whatever. You can see that. So take that up to the 4 mark on the next graduation. And then we will go. Yesterday I only went 10%, but I think I really need to get 20%. But you can see how easy I didn't really make a mess with that. So if you've got a can that's reasonably full, Even you might even put it down to maybe you might have got a quarter out of it. It's still really handy. Once you sort of get down below that, you can control what you're pouring out of it. But early on, you can't. It's really fucking difficult. So, yeah, I think 10's just not enough today. We'll go 20, just to thin her out a bit more, just so it'll fucking spray. And we'll get ourselves sorted. So now we can just pull this tape off, put the lid back on. Like if you were going to need more, well, you just leave it on there, you know what I mean? And just sit the lid on, but you pull this bit of tape off. It's a little messy, but it's not as messy as fucking pouring it all over the bench or whatever. Righty, so I got a couple of coats on there, got a couple of coats around the windows, well, coating a wee bit around the windows. It's mainly just to, obviously we did that, you know, sanded through a bit, whatever, trying to get that prettied up. So that's cool. Obviously, you know, it needs wet sand. It's really too cold, so I'm definitely not going to paint today. I'm going to have to try and get some diesel from somewhere and come down here and crank it up at night and get a bit of heat in here and spray around those back windows and maybe spray this at night just with the diesel heater going and get some heat in here. I don't sort of have any choice, I don't think. Anyway, carry on. We'll catch you later. As you can see, I just plugged the heater on. I haven't put any diesel or anything in it. Gotta go still do that. But it's only 10 degrees in here, which is not warm enough. It needs to be at least minimum about 15. So I've got a couple of jerrycans here. That one. Yeah, so what are these? Does it say on gallons in here? It's approximately 20 litres. You can get more, yeah, or 5 US gallons, which is a little bit lower than 20 litres. I'm pretty sure these here you can get about 21, 22 in them if you hold them at the right angle, if you know what I mean. Alrighty, just fired it up. Actually, the temperature's come up in here since I opened the doors, so that's bloody handy. So I might need it going for very long, but when I'm away, at least I can actually get the temperature up reasonably good in here. But I just fired it up and make sure it goes alright. It hasn't been going for a while. At least, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months at least. Anyway, so what I might do is, I don't really need to close the doors, but I probably will, and start sanding give them a hand wash first with some a bit of frickin' bit of finish just to get the diesel off my hands. And you sand the tailgate, sand around the windows, and then by that stage it'll probably be lunch anyway. We'll shoot away for lunch. We'll leave this going with all the doors closed, and it should be nice and toasty when we get back here to spray. Alrighty, let's have a look at this paint. Oh, that looks alright. Yeah, sweet. Looks alright on this side. For what it is. For what it is. Yeah, side looks alright too. There's a couple of little funny little bits in it, but yeah, maybe that'll work. Take this over here. This is when the next lot of action's going to happen. Just check where their weights and grease and there is. Just flick this white off over here, don't need that on anymore. Give this panel another white while we're blowing a bit of warm air near it. When we spray, we'll flick that back off again. Just give this another white down. Make sure it's clean. Righty. And just check with the paint man. And yes, he basically once it's dry, which it is now, I can mix up some clear and just spray straight over the top, so that's cool.
At 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I see what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again.
Right. Oh, we'll leave that for a few minutes. Put the doors back down. Maybe I should be painting trucks at work. I can do a better job, mate. It's fucking over here. Yeah, we'll do this while we're waiting.
Something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. Life changes, just open the door. One thing's certain, I'll always be yours.
Little longer, a little longer. Right, I'll kind of show where we got to. So we got the tailgate back on. I actually scuffed it back just so it wasn't so shiny. Just so it blended in a bit better. Just took the shine off it. You know, it can be polished back up or whatever, but I just dulled it off with a bit of 3000. Obviously got these back in. I haven't done anything else. And I've actually have done other things. I'll put most of the hardware back in here. I just haven't completed. So I've got like the what do you want to call it? The key lock and bits and pieces on it, and the handle and all the mechanism back in, but I just haven't finished everything, if you know what I mean. This doesn't want to stay up by itself. Now it's got everything back in it. It's too heavy. Gas struts obviously aren't the best. But yeah, so I'm just going to finish the last little bits in here. Just organise the last little things, get this back up there and whatever. So yeah, I've just been trying to sort that out. I think I've got the badge. Yeah, I've got the badge and I think a couple of the other bits and pieces for this in my bag, actually. The tool bag, now that I remember. So we'll go have a look at that. So I'll just turn some lights on. Yeah, so I got the badge and a couple of other little bits that were on that in my tool bag there. So I just remembered that. The other thing kind of started, but not really. Just Mrs. when she was down here, she wanted to pull apart. Start pulling apart one of those doors for the Murray. I really need to get into that. I badly need to get into that. Righty, so where we got to? So I'm basically done. The only thing I've forgotten is I wanted to bring back some urethane to help put these back on. Plus, at the workshop, so some of these broke. Well, two of these broke when I pulled these off. So I need to get another couple of them. We should have them at work. We have lots of new ones of those, that sort of stuff at work. I was trying to get these on, but I was trying to, but I was just struggling. So I need to might do a little bit more research on that. So yeah, I want some urethane just to help stick those pieces back on as well. And I forgot that I took the rest of these off at the workshop, off the inside of here, and I need some double-sided tape to put these back on. So I've got the one for here, but I'm missing the piece for here, and here, which is in town when I was going to spray this at work, but I forgot. Well, not that I forgot, I just ran out of time, so I ended up bringing these back, and these are sitting on my bench in my workshop. But that's all right. It happens. Just a couple of little minor things. It's just stuff that I sort of had forgotten about, you know what I mean? Just, you know, it's easy enough to miss something like that. Should throw all those bits and pieces back in that bag. Wasn't sure if I was going to get anything done on this or not, but yeah, it'll only take me, I don't know, a few minutes Monday night to sort that, and just pop those pieces on. I'll just put a bit of tape on them for a while, and I'll see them know it's still sorted. And yeah, just got to grab those couple mouldings and whatever, put a bit of frickin' double-sided tape on that and just pop them in place. I'll probably have to poke them in behind the rubber too, which I've sort of halfway forgotten about too, but it's alright. It's easy enough to fix too. Righty, morning. So just dragged the old 80 series out of the shed, cranked her up, just giving a wee clean up outside where there's a bit of warmth, like a wee bit of warmth. So I just got running because the batteries are a bit low. I don't know, they're probably a bit old anyway, but so I just had to jump start it and I was leaving it running. So I just whipped around and just gave a few areas a wee bit of a clean up with a wee bit of cutter, and just give them a quick buff back with a rag, if you know what I mean. So tied up around some of the other bits and areas and just make it not so obvious that I've been there, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I just basically just whipped around the door frames and gave them a quick wee polish just to take the dull off them, just sharpen them up a little bit, and ran across the tops of the doors and up that, what you call it, A, B, C, D pillar. Just went around that, just gave it a wee buff up, just and around the tail light and stuff, just to make it, because this is obviously a lot cleaner, so I just shine that top up. I don't really go down too much low, just gave it a wee wipe down there, and just gave it a wee buff up around sort of the edges of those doors and shit like that, just cleaned it up a little bit. Did the same on this side, just brightened it up a little bit, just buff around the paint a little bit. Like, I didn't go mad, just used my little buffer and just ran around these door frames just to take the real oxidisation off them, and just gave it a clean up so it's not obvious that I've been there, if you know what I mean. Like, the black's a little blacker, you know, but the paint actually matches really well, you know what I mean. Like, you wouldn't really know I'd been there except for there's no peeling at the top, but you know, it sort of is what it is. But no, it's pretty good. So that's sort of done and dusted now. So yeah, thanks for watching. I just shut that off, so it's noisy. So thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and hopefully we'll get back into some more videos and get some more regular content out again. We'll just see how that goes. Yeah, just that's not always easy to get down here. As much as I'd like to be down here every night and fricking all that sort of stuff, it's just not always that easy. But anyway, I'll carry on. I might just crank this bed up, let it run for a little bit longer, just to juice those batteries up a little bit more. And then hopefully he'll be here to pick it up sometime today. And we'll see if we can get a little bit of work done on the Murray. Alright, we'll catch you later on. Thanks for watching.